Sonic Superstars is out, and it's a pretty good Sonic game. It's not exactly the next Sonic 3 or anything, and it's ludicrously overpriced, but I was delighted with the time I spent with the game. What I wanted from Sonic Superstars was a 2D Sonic that couldn't have been made in pixel art, since Sega is so adamant that such an art style wouldn't sell anymore. So the significant deciding factor for me was how good the new Sonic art style was, and what kind of mechanics they would incorporate into the zones. And holy hell, this is so impressive! It's constantly moving on to the next idea just like a Mario title does, and each zone is filled with exciting mechanics and traversal options. So I thought I'd take a look at the standout zones from Sonic Superstars. Starting with the Press Factory. The concept behind Act 1 of this zone is brilliant. Sonic games always encourage you to be on the upper levels of an act, even though there's little difference in quality no matter what path you take to the sign. This is because we associate missing a jump in a platformer with failure, even when there's no tangible punishment like in a Sonic game. The genius behind Press Factory is it makes taking the higher route feel like a failure because of how the stage automatically and rhythmically bounces you with the reverberation of the presses. It's a concept that reverses your mindset for what you perceive as failure and success in a platformer, and it does it without wacky anti-gravity or weird do-anything magic like Mario Wonder seems to be doing. It's a purely diegetic mechanic that's an ingenious way of combining the factory with an idea that works for platformers. It's a mechanic that fits with the biome of the level, unlike such things as the conveyor belts in the Frozen Zone later on. Act 2 of the Press Factory is also the second best water level in Sonic history behind Hydro City, because it operates in the same way as a water level, but without the floaty physics or distressing music. It also has the countdown on screen at all times in the background, so you don't have to fret about keeping track of your invisible oxygen meter in the back of your mind. Next is Golden Capital, which is a zone that uses its unique mechanics so well. It employs anti-gravity, which doesn't exactly fit with the theme of the area, but it doesn't use it in a stereotypical way with floaty jumps. Instead, it's simply activated by running up the sides of walls, which is such an effective way to incorporate anti-gravity into a Sonic game. When someone sees a curve in Sonic, they run full speed towards it. By having the reverse gravity take place automatically, it means there's no stop to Sonic's momentum, something every Sonic game struggles with maintaining. In this level, having us seamlessly flip the course while not affecting our character's movement is reminiscent of the best use of anti-gravity in gaming, Mario Kart 8. Ironically, later in Sonic Superstars, it also employs one of the worst uses of anti-gravity I've ever seen, which is just baffling that the same team can make a concept work so well in one section and dreadfully in another. Next is Sand Sanctuary, which I was a little hesitant to include in this video, because I was a bit annoyed that Sega claimed it was going to be using all original zones for this game, and then proceeded to just rename old zones and claim it's totally different. But Sand Sanctuary has such an excellent mechanic that I can't help but include it here. The snake platforms. This is a beautiful and creative use of diegetic environmental gameplay like Press Factory, only this one feels so much cooler and more fun. Yes, it's not ever present like in Press Factory, but the combination of trampoline, conveyor, and ramp all in one is just too good, especially since it's in the form of my favourite animal. Sonic has always been a tiny character. This is shown when he's constantly taking down giant robots that are gargantuan in size. It's like David and Goliath, except David is the stone. The problem is, it never feels like that during the acts, only in boss fights. So to show that Sonic really is a tiny creature in his world full of massive creatures, it's such a great feeling. The final zone I wanted to talk about is Cyber Station. What I wanted from Sonic Superstars was for it to justify why the franchise can't be 2D and in pixel art, and to show me something Sonic Mania couldn't have done. Ironically, they did this by turning the game into voxels, which could be an argument for or against Sonic's new art style, but if this zone were in Mania, it wouldn't hit anywhere near as hard. I'm not saying the whole game is built around this zone, but I never had a more significant reaction to any zone in Sonic Superstars than the Cyber Station. Its mechanic isn't exactly in line with the franchise, but it's such an out-there idea that they've never done before that I can't help but be impressed by it. Switching Sonic into a brand new creature is a weird idea. I'm here to go fast and collect rings, but I suppose they wanted to take a page from those Donkey Kong Country levels where you play as a different animal. The squid sections are really enjoyable. It's able to maintain the pacing of normal Sonic by having the hazards close in around you, meaning you always have to keep moving. It's absolutely in line with the themes of the zone. Using voxels as a transformation tool is a really cool idea, and I can't think of another biome where it would work. What I love most about the art style of this zone is it's not a piece of nostalgia like the 2D sections in Mario Odyssey are. This zone doesn't look anything like the Genesis, but still evokes a feeling of joy in me. I guess that's because it's reminiscent of the 90s, which is weird. After all, I wasn't alive in that decade, so I've only experienced it through media, but this zone has such an excellent Tron-like feel. Sonic Superstars is the best game Sonic Team has made in years. It stops trying to push the franchise into genres where it doesn't belong, but it doesn't rely on cheap nostalgia to get you to like it. While I'm a bit uncomfortable with its pricing, it's absolutely a game that couldn't have existed in 2D.